to a very, very special championship edition of In the Zone. Man, it's my pleasure, my honor. Extremely humbled, extremely grateful, though, too, to call somebody I've always, admired and looked up to, especially from a hoop standpoint, to come into the zone and really chat with us. State championship coach Dee Davis. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Nah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you. Yeah, like I was saying, it was so cool when you got the job at Princeton, and we're definitely going to touch in on that because, believe it or not, I don't even know if he wants me to kind of say this part because he was also interested. He's doing this thing down in Kentucky, coaching girls basketball. So shout out to Big Cuz. But when we found out it was you, we couldn't be nothing but excited for the program, excited for the girls, excited for school, excited for you. So for those who don't know, that kind of don't have a history of it, man, just kind of talk to them and tell them, who is Dee Davis and kind of what led to get you to become a high school basketball star, All-American, to already becoming the high school championship coach.
Well, let's go back. I grew up playing basketball in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I moved here when I was in the 7th grade, going into the 7th grade.
So you started in Indy.
I started in Indianapolis, and
Shout out to Naptown.
I moved here as a 7th grader. So I went through middle school and high school at Princeton, and at an early age, obviously basketball was a passion of mine. It's something that I grew up watching. And one mixtape tapes, like you just mentioned. Also the NBA, watching a lot of that on television. It was something that I just really enjoyed. I had a goal outside of my house in Indy, so I was the house that everybody came to want to play ball at. So when I moved here to Cincinnati, it was a great time to start over in a new city, meet new people, meet new friends. Coach Polk. That was my assistant coach and PE teacher. She came turn into like my big sister. Yeah. It was just a lot of love and a lot of embrace coming here, having a lot of success. Just always being competitive, always wanting to win on and off the floor. I knew I had a vision for my life. I knew I had a purpose, and basketball was going to be that vehicle that I needed to get me where I wanted to go. So I just had to make sure that I aligned my life towards those goals and stay focused throughout the journey. Trying not to get distracted as much, obviously. Being a kid, you want to be a kid, and you want to do the things other people want to do. Yeah. But when you know your purpose and you know what your vision is for your life, you got to align yourself in those same manners. So being able to come through Princeton and have a lot of success here and then going on to college, played a little pro, came back and coached at a high school for 10 years in Nashville, Tennessee. And then I was really itching for more. I wanted to be at the collegiate level. Yeah. So I went to 3 Division I schools and was a director of operations there. Hadn't really gotten my opportunity to jump into the coaching at that time, but Princeton called right in the moment where I was really missing being on the floor. And after talking to my boss, talking to my agent and some of my mentors, they were like, is it about coaching in college or is it about coaching in general? It's about the impact, right? So I had written a book in 2017 to help student athletes navigate the recruitment process. So this was an opportunity to get back in that area, get around that demographic, to be able to promote that book, to help mentor kids that don't really have the guidance needed in order to know how to navigate that process. And to get back to my alma mater where it all began for me. So it was a great opportunity to give back and also to get back on the floor and cultivate the craft that I love in coaching.
And we love that you're here. And make sure we put that book in the description as well. So make sure you guys go get a piece of the championship knowledge, the playbook, and make sure you check out Coach Dee Davis's book. Even if you can kind of, in a minute, do you remember the time that you fell in love with basketball, right? Like I said, you know that it was going to be an impact. Do you know that moment is like, hey, I love this game?
Man, I got to tell you, I was about 10. My mom would come in the house and be talking, and I didn't hear a word she said. I would be staring at the TV. She knew when I was watching that TV, watching basketball, it was something that she couldn't tap into. Yeah. So just when I was watching it, and I would always take what I saw from the television and go outside and emulate it, I just felt the passion for it. Like it was something, like I didn't like toys. I liked basketball. Yeah. And so I would say around 10 years old, and I started playing AAU with girls that were 2 and 3 years older than myself. So I was learning at a high rate. So when I got back to kids my age, I was, way more advanced. So when I saw those things developing in that way where my skill sets and things were developing, I started to feel like, oh, this is something I could see myself doing.
Yeah. So no, as we just talked about your journey, and we talked about where that love of basketball came from. Like I said, my perspective, you were always different, and it's not even just from a girl's perspective. Just on the court, your game was substantially better than a lot of folks that was out there. Can you just kind of talk about that experience from playing with those guys with Ed One basketball, but B, just kind of that what that felt like when you're hearing everybody saying, hey, you're not just good, but you're really, really good. What was that like, and how do you continue to stay humble in that mindset?
You know, I had a lot of people ahead of me that I was able to idolize and look up to. You know, your Dawn Staley's, your Lisa Leslie's, your Tamika Catchins. You know, watching those players and even players that played in my AAU program, the older girls, I wanted to be like them.
Yeah.
You know, and to watch them go on and go to college and play and have great careers, it was something that I was determined to do as well. So when people would talk to me about my skills and all those things, it was humbling, but it was also a thing that was hard to also grasp at that time in my life, because the measuring stick was, I'm playing AAU with these girls that I don't feel like I'm better than, but when I got back to my grade level, I showed signs of a little bit more advancing. So, you know, I feel it was a great test to me to hear those things, because I always wanted to be the best, not necessarily skill-wise, but I wanted to challenge it. Like anybody that came in the gym and somebody said, oh, that kid is ranked higher than you, or that team's better than you, we had to make a statement, and it was just that competitive edge that I've had my entire life.
Yeah. So when you talk about the evolution of the game, you just mentioned some greats, Tamika Catchings, Don Staley, you know, even the impact they're still having on the game for some of them. How would you categorize the evolution of the game from where you're playing to where it is now? Because once again, from just my eye, the game just seems so much more faster, so much more advanced. The things I see these girls doing on the basketball court, I enjoy the girls' game a lot more than the guys' game sometimes. Because you're going to get a little bit more of those fundamentals with the girls' game, but you're still going to get that flair.
Right.
It seems like a little bit more competition. Do you feel like the evolution of the girls' game has jumped as dramatic as people make it seem, or is it just people are getting more exposed to the game?
I would say social media is a big driving force behind that, because the exposure is there. You know, the players are able to see different people around the country, and athletic training, you know, as far as everybody's a personal trainer now. Everybody's working on different skill sets. They're doing everything that they see James Harden doing, you know, and vice versa. So it's an area where, for one, the exposure is different, because we didn't have that back in the day. So seeing social media, everybody's concerned about rankings and different awards and things of that nature. And then you having so many trainers out here trying to develop skills on a high level. It was more, I think, fundamentally based, but now you have a lot of kids that can do a lot of more advanced skills that are fun to watch. So they do give you that flair. Yeah.
So, like I said, I remember, and it's kind of curious. I don't know if you ever thought about this. Now, this is barbershop talk, so it'll be interesting to hear your thought of it. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I got a chance to see you play. Got a chance to see Kelsey play. You had a young lady on your team that's pretty good as well, too, by Miss Williams. Have you had a chance to see all three play? And then if you had to rank 1, 2, and 3, could you? And if not, we understand, too. But if you had to rank 1, 2, and 3, how would you rank 1, 2, and 3?
I'll say Kelsey, Soleil, and then myself.
And once again, the humility of it. And it's so crazy, right? Because like I said, we were sitting here talking with Josh the other day. And Josh, 2-time All-Star, you know, Hall of Fame and UC, still keeps that same humility. Mm-hmm. As you said yourself, still keeps that same humility. State champion. I'm sure you're still going to keep that same humility as well. But I know that competition and that edge sometimes still comes out as a coach. When you're out there, is there any type of particular game or any that you like, hey, as a coach, I get a little bit more fired up, a little more red for? It could be GMC or just in general. Any particular team that I'm really fired up for this one?
You know, it doesn't escape you when you're a competitive player and then you turn into a coach. You still have those same type of emotions. You know, I get up for games as if I'm going to play as well. So, you know, any team that's being displayed as the best out there, or any program that has all the successes, I want to be able to compete against those, because you want to put yourself in positions to be successful, but you don't get those opportunities if you don't play against the best. Yeah. So, you know, I've always gone by the mantra, you know, you fear no one, you respect everybody.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to fear you. So I'm going to challenge you just as much as I would challenge anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make sure that we come to the table prepared. I want to make sure that we come to the table hungry,
Yeah.
no matter who's in front of us. And that's just one of my big things. You know, they all have to play us. Yeah. And who's going to come out victorious? It's going to be us or them, and we always are going to choose us.
Let's talk about the journey that got you into this state championship run. Obviously, the GMC seems like a gauntlet, and we definitely talked about that in football. Right. You know, let's talk about getting through the GMCs. What was that like? Even these, matter of fact, let's even take a step back because it's year 2.
Yes.
It's year 2. Let's talk about year 1, building that foundation, kind of getting through the grind of the GMCs and to the playoffs. Just what was that journey like for you? If you can kind of just cumulate that in these last 2 years.
I mean, you can probably imagine a black female coming into a male-dominated conference or industry, rather, having a lot of success early on. That can be intimidating and frustrating for a lot to
Yeah, especially because you replaced a coach that already won a state championship, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Had been in the fold for 15 years. Yeah. So to come in and take over from my head coach, she was my head coach my senior year. It was very competitive.
Shout out to Coach Phillips.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Phillips.
Yeah.
The GMC is one of the toughest conferences in the state, in my opinion. I mean, we play against national contending teams. I mean, we've had 3 of the 5 in the top 5 of the state playing deep in the tournament. And, playing in those games, it was tough. Yeah. You have kids that are trying to figure you out. You have coaches trying to figure the kids out. Mm-hmm. You're trying to figure out the way of the land in the GMC. So there's a lot of things that you go through adversity-wise. But, all in all, trying to instill a culture that's going to be competitive no matter what, no matter who steps in front of us. So first year, it was exciting. I think we won our first 16 games, and then we lost our first game. I believe it was to Mason. I think it was Mason.
Yeah, I think it was, Coach,
if I'm not mistaken. And then
we'll fact check it.
We'll fact check that. And then we had a disappointing forfeit loss to Mount Notre Dame to snap their 80-game winning season, and beat them by 27 on their home floor. Mm-hmm. That was one of the most devastating mistakes as a staff that we've made. No knock to the kids. The kids did everything they were supposed to do. It was an error on a substitution, and
Coach,
it's a mistake that will never happen again.
If anybody feels you on forfeiting losses and you're set up,
I get you.
We've been there, so I feel you.
Right. And then to go, to co-champion the conference was a great feat. However, we would have loved to win the conference overall. Yeah. And then to go in the tournament, we won the district championship, and then we lost in the semifinals of the region game of, to the same team that we had to forfeit to. So last year we ended on a sour note, and we came back with a vengeance, and we decided that we were going to come back and do everything necessary to chase down the state.
What was that off season like? Did you see a difference between year 1 and year 2 in that off season with these girls?
Oh, the grind was there.
Yeah.
The commitment from the staff, the commitment from the players, the buy-in was there.
Yeah.
We worked tirelessly. I mean, those kids have been working for a very long time. This has been one of the this is one of the longest seasons by far. This is the longest season we have all had to be in. Yeah. 30-game season, taking it down the stretch. So it was a situation where everybody knew that we didn't want to experience and feel what we felt the season before. So we were committed to making those changes, those necessary changes.
How many seniors were on the team this year?
This year we have 4.
4. And so with those seniors, and I definitely don't want to leave anybody out.
Right.
What were definitely, I know we had obviously Miss Williams. You had Miss Carter. What was our other 2? I think you had
Lasagna Hill.
Yep.
And then Kiera Brooks.
Yeah. So first of all, shout out to all you ladies right now, because you guys are champions. Nobody can ever take that away from you. You set the standard moving forward. Mm-hmm. What was their camaraderie like, right? Because I know, especially now in high school sports, you have open enrollment, transfers, everything else like that. What was that camaraderie of those 4 kind of leading this thing through? What was that like?
Well, the 3 of the 4 played varsity the last 3 years. Yeah. Kiera, this was her first year with the group with varsity, but they were committed. They were developing into leaders and wanting to do what was necessary. They led us in a lot of the statistical categories, obviously, but most importantly, working on that leadership component. And that's what's huge, because you have to be able to be together in order to go through this test. And we were challenged in every way, shape, or form. I mean, anybody that coaches a sport in general understands the hoops and hurdles you have to go through, and the bumps and bruises that you go through and have along the way. But I feel, all in all, we're going to miss our seniors tremendously. 3 of the 4 will be going on to play at the collegiate level, 2 Division I and 1 going Division II.
Congratulations.
And we're so proud of that. They've taken this program to new heights that they've haven't experienced in 9 years. Yeah. So we're just proud of our kids.
We're definitely proud too. As a community member, as an alumni, definitely proud of all you guys and all those young ladies. So as we talk about 4 seniors who will be gone this year, and we definitely don't want to. We just won, so let's not talk about next year. Yeah, right. But I know as a coach, like I said, we're always thinking about next year. Even a little bit. Even when the season's going on, you're always thinking about next year. What does next year look and feel like for you? How excited are you for next year, coming back as a defending champions?
I do want to bask in the.
I know, Coach. Yeah, and please, and you do, and you should, and you deserve it.
And I do want to take some necessary downtime for myself, because this has been a long grind, and I'm very grateful for what we've experienced this year. I am looking forward to next season as well, because I want to see how the girls are going to respond. Are we going to come back still hungry? Yeah. Are we going to be comfortable that we got one? Yeah. And I think that we have a lot of young talent that is determined to come up and help us in any way, shape, or form. It's surprising that I had 8th graders texting me saying, "Coach, we got more for you."
That's all right.
That's inspiring. That's motivating. That's hope.
That's a good crew. That 8th grade crew is a good crew. I didn't see them kind of come up as well too. That's a good crew.
I got to tell you, we have some talent coming for the next several years. Yeah.
So let's have a little fun here. I think we got maybe about 5 minutes left at the most. So, as you know, I'm a football guy, Coach. Was able to play through, play ball at Princeton. We won a GMC, which was cool. Obviously, you also played ball at Princeton, won some GMC, won some championships as well too. What would you describe Princeton as? Is it a football school or is it a basketball school? And I had this conversation with Eric. I don't even think you can call it a basketball school. I think you need to call it a women's basketball school. So what would you call Princeton? a football school, a basketball school, or a women's basketball school?
So you're trying to start stuff.
You always got to get a little spicy.
I think it's an athletic school. I'm going to just say that part.
If
you want to get down to the statistics,
really though,
who's won the most championships, I'm not familiar on the football side, but if I had to.
It's close. I definitely think it's close. I think once again, fact check, I think Bentu 5 won 4, or is it Bentu 4 won 3? But shoot, you guys are 3 for 3.
We've won 3.
Yeah.
So if you guys won 3, you won 4. Yeah, we're neck and neck, or you guys are taking the lead on that one.
But you said it best though. Once again, Princeton alumni, athletic school, because whether it's track,
absolutely,
basketball, volleyball,
yes.
Man, the athletes that go through Princeton, and once again, we are in the zone. The athletes that come from this community, we have great athletes that come from our communities.
Right.
But just historically, the athletes that come from this community have really led the charge and really led the lead on that. So definitely, I think, as you said it best, Coach, Princeton's an athletic school with great students,
100%,
with great people,
great young women and young men. Very proud of the products that we have at the school. Every program has something that's a positive highlight, and I value that. I think that we have great facilities. We have great resources. We have great support. So every opportunity is there for our kids to succeed. And I think they're putting people in positions to lead those kids to make sure that happens.
And lastly, once again, this might be just fun for me. May not even make it to the Thieves. Any embarrassing or fun stories that you have for a 6'7" guy that grew up in the Valley Homes named Eric Daniels? Because y'all both went to school together. Now, I tell everybody this, that I saw personally. Now, you may not remember this. I saw personally Dee Davis beat Eric in a one-on-one basketball game at lunch one time. So, yeah, but just anything that because and this is why I wanted to bring that up, because it's rare that you have 2 All-Americans at the same school at the same time.
Right.
So maybe not an embarrassing story. I'll keep E off the hook. Well, let's just kind of talk about what that experience was like. Just kind of 2 All-Americans at the same school at the same time. What was that like at Princeton? Talking about us being an athletic school.
Right. I think it my memory is so bad, I'm not even going to lie to you. But what I can say is, Eric was a phenomenal athlete going on to play at Kentucky. I'm not sure how much he played afterwards, but, it's not only Eric. I mean, we had so many talented players that has come through Princeton, and it's been just one success story after the next. And it's a great thing. It's a great feeling to know that Princeton was the place where all that started for us.
Yeah. And you said it best earlier, that the competition level and how you just constantly compete. The one thing I don't like that they don't have anymore at the school, because I tell everybody, me and Josh were just talking about it, some of the greatest basketball games I've seen was during those lunch bells.
Yes.
Those lunch bells basketball games, it really went down. Whether you were on the basketball team or not, you were going to find out in that school who could hoop.
And I might have been in 3 of those lunch bells.
Yeah, you found your way to get into it. Yeah.
I was hooping in all those lunch bells.
Coach, this has been fantastic. We always allow our guests the last say. So just anything that you got, Coach. And once again, shout out to your staff, too.
Oh, man.
Amazing staff. Shout out to the girls on your team. But definitely, the floor is yours. Anything you got for us, Coach?
Well, speaking of my staff, Coach Cornisha Morris, was on the 2014 state championship team. And now she's a state champion as a coach.
Has anybody ever done that? 1-1 as a player?
I do not believe so. So you guys got to get her here too.
Yes, definitely history in the making.
But I definitely want to thank my staff. I mean, without them, none of this would have been possible. They've carried me. They've held me up. They've motivated me, and they kept me focused a lot throughout these last 2 years. And it's been a phenomenal road with them. Yeah. I want to thank all of the fans and the administration. All the support that we've received these last 2 years have just been amazing. Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and then some. Yeah. So I can say that Princeton has truly done right by me, and I'm very appreciative to be here to represent the program and to lead these young ladies. And we have so much more in the tank, and I'm looking forward to the future.
And Coach, once again, thank you. I'm so proud of you guys, so proud of those ladies. It's an honor and pleasure to have you in this seat. And as we always say here, man, there are no limits, because we are the Heights, and not only we're the Heights, we're the champions. But, yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks again, Coach.